Turning off Humpty Dumpty. I never expected to see Valerie again, especially clothed and sober. Her sudden appearance chilled me. Having been the befuddled half of a nearly mutual nakedness, I was still flustered by her. That surprised me. Even though I had managed an indelicate hug, I simply wanted to slip away, just like 10 years ago. Without wife as a bunker, I nursed a stout, turned my wedding ring, and wondered if my kids were in bed as my one-man band cousin played Billy Joel's The Stranger to the 10 o'clock Chi-Chi's Lounge. The audience celebrating his reunion tour consisted of my buddies at one table and my extended family at the other end, including my mother. This odd consortium conspired to make me feel as awkward as possible. My buddies taunted me. Hey, isn't that? Yeah, the Valerie story involved an immature man cub, not the illustrious one before them, and would they please shut their goddamn mouths. Up until Valerie, lipstick was the only thing that separated the unavailable women I pursued and the common vulture. It didn't matter that these scavengers were engaged, gay, doped, or Mormon. Then, a nervous conscience asked, "Aren't you going to speak to Val?" If I did, I would have to apologize more for what didn't happen and perhaps imagined and should have said than anything that didn't involve sex that night. You see, the last time I saw Val, I was kicking a path through her clothes. An egg-sliced moon shredded her body in diagonal black-gray stripes. By the window, on a nightstand guarding her bed, a darkened Humpty Dumpty lamp was about to see the near loss of my virginity. I was 22 and pretty miserable. This is how it didn't happen. My cousin and his future ex-wife were stretched out on the couch, kissing, watching The Late Show, while Valerie and I were on the floor, sharing stale tortilla chips and flat 7-Up. She then kicked my foot and stood up, a signal to relocate to the bedroom. She undressed in 6 seconds and collapsed on the bed. Even though her panties were ringed around her right ankle and her socks sagged on her feet, I kept my clothes on. Having read women found it erotic. At least for a while. Back then, my sexual imagination had 22 years to ripen to a seasoned immaturity. I considered pleading, No, don't get undressed right away. But I stayed silent, knowing it was late. She was tired, and she was, after all, my first woman fully naked. She wasn't unattractive, as there's no hotter woman in the world than the only naked woman in the room. Once, before that night, with my cousin singing My Angel is the Centerfold as a literary exercise, I sent around the blank backside of a menu where everyone contributed to a story. I wrote about a couple showering together. That always sounded hot. But showers aren't designed for two. There's always someone in the cold. Eventually, Val led me outside. The whole tale is a non-blur, even the memory of my cousins crooning Van Halen's dancing in the streets. As our breath commingled in the cold, I realized that I didn't even know her last name. I crunched a Coors can. The stench of the garbage bin, the urine, and the stale puddles of beer made her suggest my car. Or my mother's minivan. To use the common parlance of the time, I tripped somewhere by the shortstop, between second and third base, and I humiliated her because she didn't get a turn at bat, and my excitement came much too quickly. And then my buddies were knocking on the windows, ready to leave, and since I was sober, I pulled out of the parking lot feeling conflictedly frustrated. Shortly after, she told me she was looking forward to later. Shocked she would want to see me again. I studied the Kama Sutra for a position. Executing the Congress of the Crow would be impressive, and she'd know I was experienced and cultured. In preparation, I deliberated at the CVS for a suitable condom. Would ribbed mean that I cared? Would lubricated be an insult or serve as kindness? After examining the tiki torches and the porcelain figurines and the milk of magnesia for half an hour, I grabbed the mega-sized red box because the store manager thought I was a freak. So there I was, with my lady in the saggy socks, whose mouth tasted of corn chips, stale beer, and cigarettes, stretched out, waiting, gazing up to her knight. Me. It was ungallant not to buy flowers or treat to dinner, but what did romance mean to a jerk? She had wet lips and was soft, round, and nicely curvy in all the right places. I was soft, round, and grossly convex in all the wrong places. An odd third person lingered in the room. Was it the grimace of Humpty Dumpty mocking me? We never discussed anything substantial, like Kierkegaard. Kant was too close to Kant, and that would have ruined the mood. Sometimes it's just about chemical surging, synapses in the brain clicking that unzip zippers. But what did she get out of it? As soon as I heard snoring, I kissed her on the forehead, whispered, "Good night." I closed the door and tiptoed past my cousin and his future ex-wife on the floor, shagging, enacting the Congress of the Swooping Crane. I remember thinking, oh man, so that's how it's done, as I'm trying to avoid gawking at my cousin's naked ass akimbo. The front door creaked. My eyes met my cousin's for an instant. A cold blast hit me from the darkness. Chilled me as much as the moment Valerie appeared at Chi-Chi's. I heard from Val once after that night. Did I want to get together again? My cousin was playing locally, and I told her, "No, thank you." She said, "Too bad," and hung up. She never asked where I went that night. But I drove to Cape May, where my dad kept his cabin cruiser. He gave me a key if I wanted to impress a babe in the comfy front berth. The irony, I know, is obvious. Rather than a love boat, it was my cloistered skiff. I stayed perched like a seagull on the flying bridge, talking to the moon about my life's intentions until sunrise. I told myself that I was no scavenger. Hell, Val was willing, and I was really wanting, desiring, but I was terrified of falling for the wrong woman. I didn't want to be with any woman who I had no intention of marrying. Oh, come on. Was that really it? After 10 years, why did Valerie still linger? More than simple fantasy made flesh, she was the first, or one of the first, who actively wanted me. And that, my friends, is a feeling no one forgets. As trite as it sounds, in that long, dark night of the soul, I still wanted Bruce Springsteen's love. His songs took faith and waiting. 5 months later, after Val, I met my wife. I didn't wait long. But at least I could have told Valerie, "Thanks, but I'm not really the guy for you." Maybe that's why I still feel bad. I was not honest and toyed with her, but maybe she never cared. Would that have been worse? Often considered, however, options to just slipping away. I could have conducted a pompous Sermon on the Mount, or Sermon on the Bed. Blessed are the sober, for they will not sleep with jerks. Blessed are the cautious celibates, for they shall use the right head. Blessed are the unripe fruits, for they are not easily squashed or bruised. Oh, brother. At Chi-Chi's, Valerie was still carrying on like old times, after all, with the drinking on her third beer and smoking, third cigarette, and singing fatalistically about driving the same old Chevy to the levee that was somehow always dry. It didn't seem like 10 years had gone. And what was she doing talking to my mother? Even though I wanted to go home, I ordered another brew and played with my wedding band. Meanwhile, my buddies scraped the remains of congealed massive cheese and sodium and lard from their plates, asking, "Hey, Walter, why aren't you eating?" But I pretended to be entwined in the music. My cousin then cajoled my buddies and me on stage to sing for old time's sake. As Val waved her Corona and Virginia Slims, the stage lights watching out her face, I sang for the spotlight my personal irony in falsetto. What a lady. What a night.